continue that conversation right now with Anish Chopra. He's the former chief technology officer at the White House, currently president of CareJourney. So curious how you think both the case is going, but effectively, when you look at what Pichai may have to talk about today, it's not so much, or it's not just that they agreed to these large payments to Apple, but that part of the payments, from what I can tell now, seem to be about telling Apple not only you'll be the default, but you're effectively going to stop working on creating better search capabilities on your own. And how much you think that piece of it is the distinction here?
Yeah, these trials are designed to discover information that looks at behaviors that result in lower competition, and that does not look good from the relationship. So the dollar itself is makes a lot of news, but I think the more important question is what behaviors resulted from that payment. And in my personal view, we're kind of guiding our way through to some, let's call it resolution or some kind of a compromise settlement, whereby the behaviors will largely be constrained. Right now, you're operating in a world where you don't have guardrails. What's the limit? Courts are there to set the limits, and then we work within those new limits. And so I would imagine there will be another round of opportunity to see a search alternative appear. And it couldn't come at a better time with the advent of AI to have a new type of search experience appear as a potential default in our daily lives.
But how do you think that's going to work? Meaning there's two issues here. There's the issue of the technology itself, and then there's are we talking just about the Apple phone? Are we talking about other phones? Are we talking about Apple saying that Apple's not going to accept money for having a default? I can't imagine they're not going to want to. They can put it up for bid, as you know, which they've done, and Google has effectively won that bid. You could argue they have more scale when it comes to capital in that regard, or at least a willingness to do it. Plus, the technology happens to be better. And so what do you do about that? Those are market forces. There is a market force element to all of this.
Yeah, market forces work when you have clear rules, which is that you can pay a fair market value for a service. But if you overpay, in this case, perhaps way above what a competitor may offer, there may be that debate, which is that extraneous payment is not tied to true market forces, but rather these other behaviors.
Well, wait a second. Microsoft's got pretty deep pockets. They could pay up for Bing if they wanted to.
Well, that's right. So the question is, what are the rules under which that auction may take place? And how do you make sure that there's a fair and appropriate bidding process within those new guardrails? So this is an area where
let me ask one separate related question. I apologize for interrupting. Are you of the view that the default position on an Apple phone, for example, is supposed to simply go to the highest bidder, or is it a combination of the highest bidder and the better technology? So let's say Microsoft raises its hand and says, I'm willing to pay, I don't know, $30 billion a year for this. But Apple sits around and goes, you know what, but this technology is, our customers are not going to be happy with this. So we'll even take the lower bid because we think it's better.
Yeah, look, this is Apple's decision. So that's not we haven't, made a public policy around what we want a private company's default homepage to look like. So it is clearly the case that Apple will probably want to have the best consumer experience. And today that seems to align with Google's the default choice for everyone. We all wake up in the morning and use it, as Satya Nadella said during the trial.
But if we all agree that is the case, then what are we even talking about here?
Well, we're talking about making sure that the economic rules of the road promote fair and open competition. And so this is not a black and white case. We're not in this conversation because, obviously this is wrong and we got to stop it. No, there's a lot of nuance. I mean, another angle to the nuance is these subsidies, for lack of a better term, presumably might go to make phones cheaper and therefore add more accessibility and therefore add more market exposure to people who otherwise couldn't afford fair market value price of the phone. So there's a lot of factors that are going to go into the judge's consideration. But it seems to me we're heading towards what are more clear guardrails. There'll be some enforcement settlement that says, okay, well, we're going to be able to compete. Google may likely still win said competition, but it may be for less dollars, and there may be an opportunity for alternatives and easier switching costs to switch.
But who are you regulating? You're regulating how Apple makes a decision, or you're regulating what Google's allowed to bid?
I think in this case, there may be certain, that's a great question. I'll let the lawyers get into the detail as to who will own what responsibility. This is about Google's behavior. So it'll largely be about how Google can engage in the market. So my presumption would be, to some degree, it would be a little bit more disclosure about how and in what manner Google behaves in the market where there's deemed to be some form of competitive risk.
It sounds like you're just trying to have the government decide how Apple is allowed to auction off its own space and how to do those things. It does sound like the argument you just made convinced me that it's not a good idea, that the government just wants to be the one that decides all of this. These are, like, why do you get to set the rules for what kind of auction they set?
You want to have fair rules that bring about true competition for the value of the good being auctioned, not to allow for a premium paid. Yeah, well, the market is doing that without guardrails, so there may be a component. This is, again, the technical detail the judge will weigh in is whether there's a excessive payment tied to anti-competitive behavior. That's the narrow question. Is it 26 billion versus 22? That's not a level of detail we're going to learn, but it's going to be about that judgment. That's where this conversation is likely heading, and that is what will be the reasonable path forward to make sure more choice, presumably easier to switch search engines, although it's relatively easy now. There may be a little perspective on that. And also an engagement around how organizations like Google are supposed to engage in the market from the position that they hold.